What does it mean to die? Whenever I think about it, there's a conflict of emotions inside of me. It's unimaginable, unforeseeable. It's like a dream I could not decide waking up to. It's like going away, but not knowing where to go. It's like wanting to go, but fears living. I accept anyway. That I am nearing the inevitability of death. But I don't know if I deserve to die when I am not certain whether my life is fully spent. Upon reflecting on these thoughts, I suddenly remembered the first Filipino poem I have ever read. It is written by a poet named Marjorie Gamalinda and is entitled, "You Can Choose Your Afterlife." The title itself gave me a hint of what it is all about.
You Can Choose Your Afterlife by Marjorie Gamalinda.
According to the strange customs of the Thibri, who believe we are not judged by good or evil, but by the kind of death we meet, to die by the sword is to enter the kingdom where everything, even the sound of water, is red. They welcome you there with the tintinnabulation of copper bells and the lamentation of bamboo violins, and all night long. A wounded sun hovers over your place of business, and those who drown return to the navel of the sea, where they become subjects of Fon Yuhin, God of all creatures who breathe water. And those who die of sickness go to Mogul, where they receive everything they've always desired, but are not free of suffering. And those who kill themselves go to a place exactly like earth, but where everything sways even in sleep. And you did not tell us why you wanted to go. We can only imagine you in a world where you can keep a cup of coffee still and people keep changing the rules of soccer. Because the ball keeps rolling away, you won't miss us. Everything moves in the same direction. You were always one step ahead. this minor masterpiece, Gamalinda made use of different types of figures of speech to provide a vivid picture of the poem. Onomatopoeia. They welcome you there with the tintinnabulation of copper bells. Personification and the lamentation of bamboo violins and all night a wounded son hovers over your place of business. Apostrophe. You did not tell us why you wanted to go.
In this minor masterpiece, Gamalinda explores the strange heavens of the Thebali, who assign afterlives according to the ways of death. The speaker, who is obviously at peace with the lack of closure in this situation, addressed a friend, real or created, who decided to take his own life. Death by the sword leads the soul into a bloodthirsty kingdom where he will be celebrated. If one dies due to sickness, he will get what he wishes for, which is to be free from pain. However, he will surely miss the people he has left behind. Suicides inherit a land where everything sways, even in sleep. This for people who commit suicides. They will never truly leave Earth because they still have unresolved problems. They will always nervously wonder what the people they left behind think of them for committing suicide. Are good people promised heaven? When good people die, do they go directly to heaven as so many believe? Since life here is so short and eternity is so long, shouldn't we want to clearly understand the truth on this crucial subject? To comprehend what the Bible teaches about heaven, we first need to understand that there is more than one heaven. As the poem sweeps to its climax, all the analogies pertain to people who out of their will took their own lives. This metaphor is movingly interlocked with the memory of a friend who, even in death, was always one step ahead. We, humans, have the desire to know why. Why did it happen? Why did they do it? We'll never know. This form of art is about empowerment. The author wants to imply that human beings are given so much free will, so much power. In that, in which most of us imagine that we have no choice, Gamalinda is boasting that maybe, in some ways, we do have a choice to choose our afterlife.
When I was a child, my mom used to read me a poem that I never get to understand until now. I thought about it and realized again how spirituality and death go hand in hand. Then I suddenly came to realize from my mom.
No, Nay, what's a kingfisher?
It's a type of bird with a long and thin beak.
So what does it have to do with the poem?
Good thing you asked that.
Now.
Because the poem is titled, Is It the Kingfisher? By Marjorie Evasco.
Oh, really? Tell me about it, Nanay.
Okay. Oh, so the poem tells us about Is It the Kingfisher? By Marjorie M. Evasco. This is how I desire God on this island. With you today, blazing and blue, as the sea that softens our feet with salt and brings the living wave to our mouths, playing with sounds of a primary language. God is blue, sang the poet Juan Ramon Jimenez, drunk with desiring. His hair, eyebrows, eyelashes turn blue as the kingfisher's wings. It is the bird who greets us as we come round the eastern bend of the island. Tell us the air breath boundary between us is transient in the air, my skin and yours, transparent as the sea, permeable to the blue of tropic skies and mountain junction. Where we sit on this rock covered with seaweeds, I suddenly feel the blueness embrace us. This rock, this island, this changed air, the distance between ourselves and the self we have longed to be. A bolt of burning blue. Lights in my brain gives the answer. We've pursued this whole day. Sea waves sing it. The kingfisher flies in it. This island is written in it. Desiring God is transparent blue, the color which makes our soul visible.
Do you believe that nothing's impossible as long as we believe in God? Marjorie Evasco does.
Is it the Kingfisher? By Marjorie Evasco.
God is blue. Metaphor.
Eyelashes turn blue as the kingfisher's wings.
Simile. It is the bird who greets us as we come. Personification. Blueness embraces us. Personification. It is basically about someone who desires to have peace and tranquility. She described how she wants God on this island. She thought of the kingfisher as God, basic and blue. Color blue represents a long-time symbol of peace, warmth, and prosperity. It emphasizes her desire as she observes and appreciates the beauty of the sight. That moment feels like a paradise. In the line, God is blue, blue can be depicted as the sea, the kingfisher, or the air and the sky setting. This can be related to her faith. Faith can only be a one thing, but it can also be her everything. As long as she believes in God, everything will be okay. That's why she desired God on that island. She discovered her inner peace and enlightenment because of the blueness that embraces them. Blue also symbolizes the working presence of the Holy Spirit, divinely saving someone from a disaster. She longed to be with God in the poem. Desiring God is transparent blue. Tells that her desire to be with God is a dream and seems to be unattainable because we can't see God and we can't be with Him physically. But her faith makes her soul visible, which gave her peace and tranquility. She thought of the kingfisher as God.
Have you ever thought, what if something temporary like life will flourish into permanence? Sometimes I do, now more often. Would life still be life if it is not what it is? The thought of it drops me into wonder. Yes, I am old and ill. I thought I fully understand life already, but it really made difference now that my end is near.
Is Gabu.
What is Gabu?
Gabu is a place near to God. And the poem is all about death. Death is a certain thing for a human. No matter how rich you are or poor you are, you can never escape death. You can only prolong it, but never escape. So here how the poem goes. The battering restlessness of the sea. Insisted silent fury upon the beach. At Gabu, and its pure consistency, havocs the wasteland hard within its reach. Brutal the day-long bashing of his sword against the seascape where, for miles around, farther than side itself, the racks don't sport and drap into the elemental wound. The waste of centuries is grey and dead, and neutral the word the sea has beached its brine, where the split salt of its heart lies spread among the dark habiliments of time. The vital splendor misses, for here at Gabu, where the ageless tide recurs, all things forfeited are most loved and dear. It is the sea pursues a habit of shores. The persona could be someone who's walking down at the beach in Gabu, watching the waves and reflecting about life. Gabu is a place in the rougher Norte that is near the shore. Often, when typhoons occur, large tidal waves go rampant. The term tidal fury refers to the tidal waves that wreak havoc to life forms and even the structures. These poems telling that people is not totally safe in this world because calamity is always there to destroy us. We should take care of our nature so that we could realize its importance to our lives. The sea could be equated to life. On the second line, the brutal bashing suggests life's chaos. It could mean the sadness of people when calamity destroyed their homes, and also sadness about the diminishing hopes. When calamities occur, we could relate it as problems that we experience in life that cause turmoil because of unprecedented currents of events. The sea has been there for centuries. Waves of centuries means past. The sea becomes neutral when it touches the shore. The saltiness of the sea describes its darkness. Even the most important things in life are lost because nothing stays indefinitely in life. The sea pursues a habit of shores, would mean the sea is always moving forward but only to one direction, and that is the shore. Similar to the sea, life is always moving. No one can stop the movement of life, we can only prolong but never escape death. Jesus could be deep, but shore represents the afterlife or death. We should remember that our lives continue even if we do not want to anymore. The only constant thing in life is change, because change is inherent in the life of a person. Life can be rough, like the sea, because we are searching for a purpose in life that we cannot see it but escape. We must continue to believe like how the sea finds its joy. We could find it too. We should be strong enough to bear all the challenges in life that we will encounter, and we must believe that the Lord will lead the way.
Now that I am being reminded of these things, little by little, I understand how many people perceive death like I do, like the Sea of Gabu. Life is like the waves. It tries to go beyond its bounds, but it will still end. Once it draws into tranquility, it is ready to subside. I might be dying after the next word I am going to write. Life is immeasurable. We have to accept the inevitable fact that we are all going to die. And when that day comes, we are all subject to the judgment of our ultimate destiny, our God. All of a sudden, I remember the days when death is out of the picture like it's never going to come. The youth, how it came in an instant and went like it never happened. I remember those moments when I spent my time leisurely because there's really nothing to worry about. I remember my friends visiting me at home and tell stories about the new book they have read.
What it is about? It's about a boy named Ben. You should read it.
I always love listening to their stories.
It's just another night, and I'm staring at the moon. I saw a shooting star and thought of you. I sang a lullaby by the waterside and knew if you were here, I'd sing to you. You're on the other side as the skyline splits in two, miles away from seeing you. But I can see the stars from America. I wonder, do you see them too? So open your eyes and see the way our horizons meet, and all of the lights will lead into the night with me. And I know these scars will bleed, but both of our hearts bleed. All of these stars will guide us home. I can hear your heart on the radio. It beats. They're playing chasing cars, and I thought of us. Back to the time you were lying next to me. I looked across and fell in love, and so I took your hand back through lamplit streets and knew everything led back to you. So can you see the stars over Amsterdam? Hear the song my heart is beating to. So open your eyes and see the way our horizons meet, and all of the lights will lead into the night with me. And I know these scars will bleed, but both of our hearts bleed. All of these stars will guide us on and I can see the stars from America.
The Distance to Andromeda is a story set in Tarlac of a young boy named Ben who was flabbergasted after watching a movie about an outer space war. It was written in a third-person, omniscient point of view. Gregorio Brillantes, the author, also made use of metaphors and constant depiction of astronomical images. Although not explicitly shown in the reenactment, the movie watched by Ben and Pepe has also a significant meaning. Ben was just 13 years old, and we think that this age signifies the wonder and curiosity of a young. The author also described the movie they watched was about the people in search of another world after radioactive fires shocked the Earth, causing its end. As they passed through the galaxy, these travelers saw how other planets from Mars to Pluto Even the other pictures in the outer space are very different from the Earth. It seems that their travel was so difficult because they cannot find a place like Earth. Their quest ends with a break into jubilant cries when these people have finally reached a perfect meadow for them to land, where they saw what the author described as the shining of the new sun. Looking closely to the original text, there seemed to be a metaphor of life in that scene. The outer space represents the encounters in life. Timelessness could mean the idea of youthful stage wherein life seems so unlimited. Final war, the physical death and end of the world. Rocket ship is our faith. The new earth and the new sun is the final destination and may also signify home. Survivors of the earth finding the new earth represents the people who landed in the right final destination. After the movie, Ben seems not getting over with it, unlike his friend Pepe, who hurriedly walked out the theater. That time, it was already early evening, but Ben, even though he knows that he must be home early, still look at the movie posters, feeling what he have watched. This may be either because he fears the end of the world or that he worries where is his place in this world. In the next part where they are walking their way home, it is described that it was a Saturday evening, which explains why there are more people on the streets. The two boys walked in a leisurely manner, which is also another image of a youthful life. Other people on the streets are doing something else, and there seemed to be a gap between all of them. There is a certain distance between the people, and that could make each of them smaller and more isolated. There was also a scene wherein the two boys sat on a bench to watch the children roller skate. It is described that there are rises and falls that are seemingly unending. This may also be alluded to the obstacles in life which make us learn that we are not always on top, and there are times that we stumble on the wrong place, but they could also bring us to the path to the right place, our right destiny.
Later on, another friend named Tito comes into picture. Different from Ben and Pepe, Tito really doesn't have any interest with the kind of movie they just watched. For him, it is too fantastic and untrue to life. This may give us an idea that the author might have delineated to us three kinds of people. Someone who doesn't really care, someone who is too realistic that he doesn't believe in something spiritual, and someone who really discerns in life, someone who is rich in spirit. Of the three, it is obvious that Ben is the third one. His mind is still on the movie even after parting ways with his friends. Suddenly, he became sad. He feels very tiny, only a boy, shrinking, helpless, standing between the dark river and the lights in the skies. His feelings, according to the story, were almost indescribable. He is worried of a vague picture. The resolution of the story was shown when Ben arrives home. At home, he feels calmer and warmer compared to what he felt while alone on the bridge. Later on, when his father arrived from an out-of-town work, he hurriedly welcomes him. They all ate dinner together, and after dinner, his father talked to him that made him feel completely relieved. It's like his worries were all gone because of his family. Later on, he saw a streak of shooting star, a reminder from the invisible God. It signifies that he is just around. He is present in Ben, so he must not worry or fear. Although he is too tiny relative to the universe, God still sent him remembrance, an assurance of his providence to him. Now he feels bigger in the universe, because he found his universe in his family. No one really seems small with God. The title, The Distance to Andromeda, may also imply the distance between people and God. When we think of it, God seems to be so far away. But in certain points in time, God makes way to transcend into us, just like with Ben, who saw a shooting star in the presence of his family. He might seem too distant, but when we have faith, we'll realize that God is just on our side, nearer than what we had thought.
Like Ben, I know I'm just small and shrinking, unseen by the world. Compared to the universe, I am just tiny dirt that is hard to be seen. But now, I realize that God sees me even I'm the tiniest dirt in the universe. I know I have already gone through my life's journey, and I am ready to face the inevitable. I hope that I'll be in God's hands when I wake up from death. Maybe it in Him will I find a new son.